Sir, do you think the U.S. is going to send attack into Ukraine?
Secretary Austin, why not approve the ATACMS?
Ukraine-Russia war, live, drone attack south of Moscow after 2 killed in Kherson shelling. Russia's air defense systems repelled a drone attack over the Tula region near Moscow. Russia's air defense systems repelled a drone attack over the Tula region near Moscow, Russia's RIA news agency reported early on Monday. Hello everyone, welcome to watch and come back to the Daily News YouTube channel. 2 of Moscow's major airports, Vnukovo and Domodedovo, directed flights to other destinations.
You know, the war which we are trying to stop and which was launched against us using Ukrainian people, of course it influenced the policy of Russia, including energy policy, and the blunt way to describe what is the change, what changed, we would not anymore rely on any partners in the West.
The General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces said the country's forces had repelled Russian attacks on 2 villages near Bakhmut, where Kyiv has been trying to regain ground lost when the city fell to Moscow's forces in May. And North Korea has hit out at South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol after he criticized its cooperation with Moscow following leader Kim Jong-un's Russia visit, saying it is natural and normal for neighbors to keep close relations. 2 dead in Russian shelling of southern Ukraine. Russian forces shelled southern Ukraine's Kherson region on Sunday, killing 2 people and injuring at least 8, the region's governor said, as Ukraine's armed forces said they were keeping in check Russian advances in the east and south. President Volodymyr Zelensky, newly returned from a visit to the United States and Canada, praised Ukrainian forces for successes in both areas of a 3-month-old counteroffensive, but he gave no indication any new movement forward. Kherson Governor Oleksandr Prokhudin, writing on the Telegram messaging app, said shelling from the Russian-held eastern bank of the Dnipro River had hit private homes in Borislav, on the Ukrainian-held West Bank. A man was killed in the nearby village of Lvov. An airstrike on Kherson, the region's main town, injured at least 5 people and caused considerable damage to buildings. The Russian military abandoned positions on the west bank of the river and in Kherson city late last year. The General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces said the country's forces had repelled Russian attacks on 2 villages near Bakhmut, where Kyiv has been trying to regain ground lost when the city fell to Moscow's forces in May. North Korea says cooperation with Russia natural for neighbors. KCNA North Korea on Monday slammed South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol for criticizing its cooperation with Moscow following leader Kim Jong-un's Russia visit, saying it is natural and normal for neighbors to keep close relations. Yoon, speaking at the UN General Assembly last week, said that if Russia helped North Korea enhance its weapons programs in return for assistance for its war in Ukraine, it would be a direct provocation. In a piece carried by KCNA news agency, the North denounced Yoon for malignantly slandering its friendly cooperation with Russia, and said Yoon was serving as a loudspeaker for the United States. It is quite natural and normal for neighboring countries to keep close relations with each other, and there is no reason to call such practice to account, it said. Kim returned home last week from a week-long trip to Russia in which he and Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to boost military and economic cooperation. US and South Korean officials have expressed concern that Russia could be trying to acquire ammunition from the north to supplement its dwindling stocks for the war in Ukraine, while Pyongyang seeks technological help for its nuclear and missile programs. A Kremlin critic was transferred to a Siberian prison and placed in a punishment cell, lawyer says. An imprisoned Russian opposition figure has been transferred to a maximum security prison in Siberia and placed in a tiny punishment cell, his lawyer said Sunday. Vladimir Karamurza Jr., 42, earlier this year was convicted of treason for publicly denouncing Russia's war in Ukraine and sentenced to 25 years in prison as part of the Kremlin's relentless crackdown on critics. On Thursday, he arrived at IK-6, a maximum security penal colony in the Siberian city of Omsk, his lawyer Vadim Prokhorov said in a Facebook post Sunday. An imprisoned Russian opposition figure has been transferred to a maximum security prison in Siberia and was placed in a tiny punishment cell. UNGA briefing, there's one more day to go after a break, but first, here's what you missed. It's almost the end of the UN General Assembly high-level meeting that brings world leaders together at UN headquarters in New York. Here are the highlights of what happened Saturday at the United Nations and what to keep an eye on Tuesday, the last day. It's day 6 of the UN General Assembly high-level meeting that brings world leaders together at UN headquarters in New York. ISIMI. Russian Foreign Minister lambastes the West but barely mentions Ukraine in UN speech. Russia's top diplomat lashed out at the US and the West on Saturday as self-interested defenders of a fading international order, but he didn't discuss his country's war in Ukraine in his speech to the UN General Assembly. The US and its subordinate Western collective are continuing to fuel conflicts which artificially divide humanity into hostile blocs and hamper the achievement of overall aims. They're doing everything they can to prevent the formation of a genuine multipolar world order, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said. They are trying to force the world to play according to their own self-centered rules, he said. Russia's top diplomat is lashing out at the US and the West as self-interested defenders of a fading international order. Thanks for following our YouTube channel, and don't forget to click the subscribe button to receive our latest information, and thank you.